Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning on analytics and how to understand data to improve conversions. My name is Jack Turner and I am the Marketing Operations Specialist for Generate UK. I am Google Analytics accredited and I'm also certified with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. Part of my role, I head up marketing campaigns and analysis for both B2B and B2C clients. And as part of our work as an agency, I was proud to be involved with the nomination for Best Use of Search in the third sector at the UK Search Awards in 2019. So a little bit about Generate UK before we get started. So Generate UK was founded in 2008 by our managing director, Joe Bailey. We're a team made up of 25 marketing professionals and we're a full service marketing agency. So what that means is we not only do digital marketing, but we also cover design, development, website support, all within our services. So we're accredited Google partners, and we were very proud to finish 25th in the Wirehive 100 League table for 2019. We're also the only UK agency to be awarded the Customer Service Excellence accreditation, which is something which is really important to us because customer service sits at the heart of everything we do as an agency. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of analytics for your marketing, how to get started with analytics, how to focus on the right metrics, and why you should be integrating your marketing tracking. And if anyone has any questions today, there will be time at the end to cover those. Please use the Q&A tab on the left of your screen and we'll cover those at the end. So why is analytics important for your marketing? Well, to use quite a long analogy, your business is a ship sailing on a bumpy sea during a foggy night in search of land. And I think with the current economic climate, that's a pretty fair assessment. And don't worry, we're all in the same boat. So data analytics is the lighthouse that can illuminate the fog and help direct your business. The thing is, it can't steer your ship. You have to do that. But what it can give you is the insight to navigate towards safety. Without data analytics, it's still possible to reach land. It's just going to be a much rougher journey. And to put this into practice, I've got an example here. So we always stress that insight brings reward, and the more you have of it, the more you'll gain from it. And with this example, this kind of shows it quite well. So this business, an e-commerce business, receives 10,000 website visitors a month for a cost per visit of £1. So that's about £10,000 a month to get in 10,000 visitors. Off the back of this, they get £30,000 in revenue, and that's made up of 300 orders. So we can see that this gives a conversion rate of 3%, and which is quite a good, healthy figure. If they wanted to increase their revenue, say to 40,000, they have two options. So someone who hasn't looked into the conversion rates and the analytics of their data may just say, well, the best option is just to increase monthly visits. I mean, and that's a fine thing to do. Like I said, there's many ways to get to the same destination. However, with a cost per visit of £1, what this is doing is it means you're adding £5,000 a month to your marketing costs, which is not the most sufficient use of that money. Instead, you may look through insight to see, well, actually, if we increase our conversion rate, say to 4.5%, you'll actually see the same return without any increase in your marketing spend, which really highlights the power that analytics and insight can really give to your business if you're not using it currently. So what are the benefits of using analytics? So as we mentioned before, data analytics cannot steer the ship. It doesn't impact your business in any sort of physical sense. But what it does do is it gives you the insight to drive effectiveness. So with analytics, your business could receive great improved decision making because you've got a lot more information coming in. And this can lead to greater operational efficiency because you can assess basically where processes aren't working or if there's roadblocks within your operations. And because of this, it can also help you identify a lot better the pros and cons of any decision. So you can also identify business risks more effectively. Because of what we're covering today, it also allows you to see more what is the most effective marketing for your business. So you can look through different channels, different website behaviors to really get to the heart of what is working for your audience and what you should be doing more of within your marketing. And because of this, you are creating better user experiences and also enhancing your customer engagement, which is all great benefits, all from just using a bit more insight within your marketing. But how do you drive the quality insight? Well, the first thing is always ask why, and that comes down to any statement. It could be someone proposing a new idea. Well, why is that a good idea? It could be seeing that your website sessions have increased by 10%, which is great, but why is it increased? If you're not asking why to these questions, you won't gain any insight from them. You have to keep delving deeper and consistently asking why. It's also really important to define your goals. So if you don't have a clear objective of what you're trying to achieve as a business, it's very difficult to use insight analytics to help answer how you can get to that destination. It's really important you define your goals from the outset, just so you know what you're working towards. And also take time to understand the context of your data, because different seasonal impacts, potentially items in the news, will all have impacts in how your users are behaving with your brand or your website, and could be having more of a knock on than you think. For example, a lot of our clients see a dip in traffic around Christmas. So we could panic and say, oh no, just traffic's down December, what do we do? But instead we have to realize that half of that month is taken up by Christmas and New Year, and people aren't going to be shopping. They're going to be spending time with their families or their loved ones. So you have to put context into the data set and to make sure you're giving a clearer picture. And also with this, communicate with stakeholders. So you may not have all the information, and that's fine. No one does. If you talk to other people in the business, you can get a clearer picture and more insight into actually what this data could mean or what might have resulted in an increase or a decrease in anything. So it's really important you communicate with stakeholders on this. And something we'll cover a bit later is also focusing on the right metrics. So don't get distracted by what we call vanity metrics, but try and look for insight when you are going through your data sets. And also something that we do here as an agency is documenting your optimization. So this just helps to ensure there's accountability for your actions. So you can test to see what has and hasn't worked on a monthly basis, and you can always good to have a log of everything you've done, just so you're not repeating yourself 9 months down the line. And also be objective. So please leave any preconceived biases at the door. And to show this in more context, there's always a debate with data about objectivity versus subjectivity. Well, in its purest form, data is objective. It's just a statement of results. It's not an opinion. But oftentimes it can be muddied by them. So on the example here, this business has seen a 50% drop in sales month on month. So there's 4 reasons for why this has happened. One of them is subjective. One of them is objective, 3 of them are subjective. So the first one, this must be due to our marketing. That's an often thing that gets labelled at marketers, but it's very much an opinion. There's no basis to that statement. And the same on the other side, marketers might blame sales and say this is all sales' fault. But again, there's no way to back that up with any sort of quantifiable data. And that's thirdly the same with the competition must be doing better than us. Well, again, how would you know that? You can't know that. But the last statement, we ran a really successful campaign last month, can be backed up, because you can see that actually previous month we ran a really great campaign and we just didn't run that again this month. So that would explain why there's been a sharp decline in sales month for month. So always trying to be mindful when you're reviewing your data to make sure it's with context, not bias. So you're gaining insight and not just reaffirming preconceived ideas that could be not benefiting your marketing. So you mentioned this previously about insight bringing reward, and this comes really well with focusing on the right metrics. So a lot of times that we find businesses are purely focused on the vanity metrics, such as sessions or clicks, things that are good, but they're not really going to give you insight. Instead, you want to look at insight-led metrics, such as page views, average session duration, and bounce rates, which are all behavior statistics. So page views will focus on how many people or how many pages are viewing your website, fairly simple. The average session duration will be what is the average time a user spends on the site. If it's really low, it might be a case that people are getting so far on your website and bouncing. If it's really long, it could be that people just aren't finding anything they want. So there's always going to be different ways to communicate this data, but it gives you a better understanding of what is actually happening rather than just traffic. And the same can be said for conversions and conversion rates. So at the end of the day, traffic is great, but it's not going to give you the same impact that someone making an inquiry or buying a product is going to do. So always make sure you're focusing on the conversions and conversion rate as part of your analytics review, because they'll give you a much better picture of what you can do better next month rather than just focusing on traffic. So a tool we'll cover in a bit more detail later is Google Analytics, but Google Analytics is a great tool for any marketer that's not currently using it to really get to the heart of your current website engagement and behaviors. So what are some key metrics to review when using these insight-led approach? The first is landing pages. So it's really important to understand where people are arriving on your website. So what are they doing as well when they arrive? Are they going straight to the blog? Are they reaching the contact page? Are they delving into your service pages? It's really important that you understand not where someone is landing and then where they're going next. So it's a really key one to look at whenever you're looking through your traffic reports. Secondly, devices. So we're finding that, well, not finding it, it's the truth. Mobile is becoming the predominant search tool for users now. It's responsible for about 60% of all searches in the past year, and is only going to get bigger as we move into a more virtual working environment. So always try to take a look at mobile engagement to see how it's comparing to desktop. Is your website optimized enough for mobile? Is it going to perform as well with mobile users as it is with desktop users? Because if you don't have this clear picture and you're not optimizing your website efficiently, you could be losing quite a lot of potential customers per month. So it's really important you look at your devices and see where the best engagement is lying. Thirdly, time. So what time of day is bringing the highest level of engagement? You could be running marketing campaigns in the morning, but actually a lot of your users are engaging best with your website in the evening. So what this could tell you is actually you should be running campaigns close to 5, 6 o'clock, because it means that it will have a closer touch point to your target audience than what you've been doing previously. And you might actually see higher engagement rates because of this. And finally, looking at your traffic channels. So what channels are bringing the best engagement rates? So there's no one size fit all when it comes to marketing. Just because you're using every channel, it doesn't mean it's going to give you the same results. So take the time to look at what the best performing channels are for your business, and you'll have a much more effective marketing output. So we mentioned previously about Google Analytics. So I just wanted to spend a bit of time covering this now because it's a really great tool for all marketers out there, and we find that actually a lot of businesses still aren't using it, and we really recommend you do because it's completely free. And even if you're not going to use it yourself now, just having it there on the website, recording traffic, getting data will really help down the line. It's say if you were to hire a new marketing person in the organization, or you were to get an agency involved, they'd find that information really useful in just pushing forward with marketing campaigns and really gaining insight into your business. So Google Analytics is a really great place as well to start answering some key questions about your business, such as how many people are visiting your website, where are they coming from, what do they do after arriving, how many visitors are converting into leads, and just more broad questions such as how can I improve interaction and engagement. So Google has really invested actually into AI, which is becoming more involved within the Google Analytics platforms. So it can now actually tell you to a certain degree how you can improve and where you should be looking at your data to actually drive more marketing effectiveness, which is a really cool feature. We also just wanted to take some time to look through some of the key places to look when going into Google Analytics to really drive that marketing effectiveness. We've highlighted a few areas just to help you get to the heart of your data and drive more insight. So as we mentioned previously, we recommend making traffic channels a priority focus of your analysis. So within Google Analytics, you can segment your visitors by channel, and you can better understand how your specific marketing activities are performing. So taking the example on the right, we can see that direct traffic drives a lot of sessions, followed by organic, referral, and social. But something that's really interesting is that a lot of new visitors are coming via direct, but not a lot of people from organic search like Google and Bing, which may indicate actually a stronger level of brand awareness. So potentially repeat visitors are coming back, searching for your brand, and potentially people are learning more about your brand and searching directly to get there, which is a really interesting piece of insight that can be delivered right off the bat. You can also segment these traffic channels by even more metrics, such as campaigns you've run, landing pages, content such as blog pages. You can segment by social channels for the social metrics. So you can see if LinkedIn is performing better than Facebook, and that actually might make you consider where you should be prioritizing your time on social media. And also you can look at external referral websites. So what external websites are generating traffic for your business? And we'll talk about this a bit later, but it's always be good to be mindful of referral traffic because it can be having more of an impact than you think in your marketing. But secondly, wanted to talk about behavior flows. So behavior flows provide a holistic review of your website performance because it's providing a more of an all-encompassing visualization of your key website journeys. So it can take you through the most frequent user journeys on the website, as well as the number of drop-offs, the exit pages, and also key journeys per traffic channel. So within the behavior flow visualization, as you can see on the right, you can see that it's been laid out into different blocks of varying sizes. So the bigger the size of the block, the more traffic it receives. And also you can see from the red bar next to it, the more drop-off it receives as a result. So with the example here, we can see that the homepage receives the predominant amount of traffic. And from here, the homepage is going through into contact pages, it's going to the career page, and it's also going to a couple of service pages. So straight away, we know the key journeys that most of our users are taking. They're arriving by the homepage, and they're either going to the contact, the careers, or the service pages. So what this means straight away that there's three types of user that your homepage needs to cater for to make sure that they're getting to the right pages as often as possible. And we can also see from the high drop-off rate with the red bar that a lot of people aren't being satisfied by the current homepage. A lot of people are arriving for whatever reason. It could be that you're running a Google ad campaign which isn't targeting the right audience. It could be that your messaging on your homepage isn't the right message to engage your target audience. And you can use this information insight to gain some perspective and start brainstorming some ideas on how you can potentially fix this issue. So it's a really great tool to use to just visualize more effectively your entire website journeys and see the most common journeys that are occurring in your website. Another key area to look at is exit pages. So we've already mentioned the effectiveness of looking at landing pages, but just as important is exit pages. So we need to know where people are leaving, and we need to identify any holes that need to be plugged in the website. So the example on the right here, the top exit page is a product, which is the All-American Sun Oven. So without providing any more context into this, we could raise some assumptions into why this could be the case. So it could be that the product itself may be too high a price, but people are still looking at it, so they might be leaving, searching for a cheaper option for it. It could be that there's no description and it needs a bit more information. People just aren't engaging enough with that product. It could also be that there's just other options out there that they prefer to look at first. So there's a couple of things that you can take from that. So it might be if the price is too high, you might offer a 10% discount with a banner bar underneath. If there's no description, you could work out the key information you need to provide to make that a better experience. And a good thing that companies such as Currys and PC World have done recently is they put pop-up bars that fire when you go to change tab on your internet. And what it says is, if you're looking for this cheaper, we've already looked for you and you can't find it cheaper, which is a great way of benefiting user experience because it tells the user straight away, stop looking, we've already done the hard work for you, we know this is the best price you're going to get, which is really effective. So focusing on conversions, as we mentioned previously, is also a must-do when you're using an analytics program. So goals are what Google calls conversions, and they can be made up of any sort of action. So it might be a purchase that's been made, someone completing a form, signing up to a newsletter, watching a video, whatever is important to you, you can tell Google that's what I want to track. And the way you would do this is via either having a destination bar, say a thank you page, to say if they land the thank you page, this is a goal. Alternatively, it's something called an event. So an event, as you mentioned, such as making a purchase, completing a form, is any action that you determine warrants being tracked. So we'll talk about how you can do this a bit later with a tool, but it's something to be mindful of that Google can only do so much for you. You also need to give Google some help and some guidance in actually how to get more from your data. So please try and use goals if you're not already, because they can be really helpful. And from this as well, once you've determined your goals and you've set up your tracking for this, Google then opens up some new opportunities for reporting. So one here is multi-channel conversion paths. So as you mentioned earlier, referral traffic is always something that's really important to look at because you don't know how effective it is until you start diving a little deeper. So for this business, the key conversion path that is experienced is people arriving from referral traffic, say an external website. This doesn't include Google, but say something like BBC News or The Guardian, and then they're leaving, but they're coming back via direct methods. So they've arrived on the website, they've had a look, they've thought about it, and they've come back a day later and they've made some sort of action, which really highlights the effectiveness of having multiple channels running, but also highlights the effectiveness of looking a bit deeper, because on the top level, you would see that referral wouldn't have any conversions. It's not really doing that much on the face of it, but actually it's a really important step in helping people learn more about the website to then come back in and convert. Off the back of this information, you may also want to consider running some display ads to ask people to come back, to show an offer or to promote a guide, because having that support and that visual awareness will really help them to come back in the next steps. So because of that, multi-channel conversion paths should be an important factor in your analytics program, especially for those who are running integrated campaigns, because you can really see all the touch points that are occurring. So where else can you gain insight? So we've come up with a couple of suggestions for your business. The first is Facebook. So Facebook has an analytics suite which runs predominantly through its own content. However, because of the sheer amount of people that are on Facebook and the amount of information they share on a daily basis, Facebook has just an incomprehensible amount of data within its platform. So you can find any information you need about interests, about their locations, their job titles, their relationship status, their if they've recently moved house. All that information will be present in Facebook. So a great example of how this has been effective is one law firm decided to run divorce ads for people that were a year into their relationship. So as soon as their anniversary hit on Facebook, they would start to get, "Do you want a divorce?" on Facebook, which is a little bit sinister, but it's also really effective because they found from their research that actually relationships, especially marriages, may hit a rocky point at that period. So that's a really effective way of how you can gain insight from Facebook and also use it for your own marketing benefit. From a B2B perspective, LinkedIn is a fantastic option. So similarly to Facebook, LinkedIn has just an array of information around job titles, company profiles, interests, groups people are part of, and all of this can gain really great persona information and insight into not only who's interacting with your business, but also allowing you to target other people within this platform to gain more audience. So if you haven't considered using social media in this way, we really recommend utilizing Facebook and LinkedIn. Twitter has some features, but because of the nature of the program and the information you give away, it's just not as effective as these two platforms. Thirdly, we recommend using Google Ads, and this is for two reasons. The first is the tool itself. So Google Ads allows you to target search terms with advertisements within Google. So based on this, not only can you gain insight into the right search terms your business should be targeting generally, it also allows you to find how people are interacting with your brand. For example, you might be a technology vendor and you're selling both Apple and Samsung laptops. And you're finding that actually people are much more likely to interact with your ad around Apple than they are around Samsung. So this might give you some insight into what people are looking for right now, and also what people are perceiving about your business, because it might be that they don't consider you to be a trusted vendor for Samsung products. So there's always insight to be gained from actually running your advertisements about A, what people are searching for, and B, what they consider around your brand. And from a second point, Google Ads has a tool called Google Keyword Planner. So Google Keyword Planner is basically an index of all the searches that are made within Google, and it's done by averages of search volumes. This allows you to be creative in finding new keywords to target around your given topics or your services or your industry, really giving you a more broader scope around the wider audience of your business, which is really, really handy, and you use it all the time. We recommend it. And finally, from an SEO perspective, to gain insight, we recommend SEMrush. So SEMrush is a paid tool, but it's worth the investment, especially if you're using SEO as a key part of your business. So within SEMrush, you can gain insights into your current SEO ability. You can look at your domain results, your backlinks, your ranking keywords, and you can also do this for your competitors, which is just really helpful. So we really recommend, if you are starting to use SEO or if you've considered it, SEMrush is a great place to get started. It has a lot of handy features in an easy-to-use place, and this isn't a paid advertisement, by the way. It's just a really good tool. So once you've looked at different insight platforms and analytics suites, you do need to integrate them. And this is really important because you will just gain a much fuller picture of your audience if you're not just siloing your data in different areas, but you're trying to integrate them, make them more effective for your business. So Google Tag Manager is a great place to start storing all of these different tracking platforms. So what this does is it essentially becomes a back-end code editor for your business in a way. It stores all your tracking and it will fire them on actions that you've set. So for example, you would want Google Analytics to be present on every time someone visits your website, but you might not want certain goals to be firing every time someone visits your website. You might want those only to fire if someone completes a form or if someone lands on a thank you page. And Google Tag Manager allows you to do this. It gives you complete control over how you're managing your analytics and also how you're tracking on your website in total. And because it's only in one easy to store place, it really helps to tidy up your website as well. So it actually provides some SEO benefit because you're not littering the back end of your website with lots of tracking platforms and code that need to continuously fire. You're basically just tidying up your website, which is going to help Google when it comes to viewing the back end of your website. And also Google Tag Manager integrates not only with Google tools, as you'd imagine, but third-party tracking tools. So LinkedIn, certain heat mapping tools, loads of other analytics suites all have their own built-in platforms within here. You can just put in your account number or a little bit of tracking code you're given into Google Tag Manager, and it will do the rest for you, which is really effective. This is also a free-to-use tool, and if you haven't tried it before, we really recommend getting started with it. Another great place to gain insight into your marketing and your website is via heat maps. So heat maps provide a visual representation of web page interaction through color. So it's a bit like a flame, hence the term heat map. So if you have white or red showing within your interaction points, that means it's red hot, which means it's a frequent interaction. Anything that's green or blue is a much colder, means there's been one or two clicks, but not a lot. So in the example on the right, we're seeing that the menu navigation and the top two to the left services are the most frequently interacted with areas. However, just because they're the most frequently interacted with areas doesn't mean that the most effective areas. So your business, in this case, Creating Solutions, may find that actually custom products are actually where a lot of their revenue comes from, but they've hidden it right down to the bottom right of their page. Whereas video on glass, which is top left, isn't that effective for them. It gets some traffic, people interacting with it, they're not actually doing anything, they're viewing it and then bouncing. So what they might want to do is just flip where these two products are within this homepage structure. And what they'll gain from this is not only more people seeing custom products, interacting with it, but potentially more customers off the back of it because they're catering to their specific requirements. So some tools to use here are Hotjar and Crazy Egg. And to be honest, both of them are much of a muchness. There's not much to really separate the two tools. It's just a preference on user experience. So both of these tools will allow you to not only set up heat maps very easily. I believe they're both integrated with Google Tag Manager as well, so you can set up really quickly. But you can also record screen interactions. For example, seeing exactly how long someone's spending on the website, where they're going, where they're getting stuck, where they're reading, which is a further paid for service, but it could be really effective to start a free trial for. So we recommend setting up heat maps and seeing how people are interacting with your content. So before we go and move on to questions, I really wanted to drive home one key point at the end, and that's testing. So you've gained quite a lot of insight from your data. You think you know what you're going to do next, and that's great. You've built a plan out, but always make sure to test. And if something isn't working at the first attempt, try something new. Just keep testing, keep learning, and the more insight you pick up, the more it will benefit your next marketing activities, because you'll know so much more information just by trying things out. Another great way to move ahead with this as well is via A/B testing. So A/B testing basically will split your audiences to view, say, 2 different landing pages or 2 different ads or 2 bits of content on your website, and really allow you to fasten up your testing and really understand quite quickly what isn't effective within your current marketing. It's always most effective to be used with only sort of slight differences. So, for example, if it's an email, just changing the subject line. If it's a advertisement, just changing a headline. Don't show 2 completely different ads, because you won't be able to gain any insight into what change has been effective in getting more engagement. So always be subtle with your testing and make sure you're focusing on 1 or 2 at a maximum variables when doing so. So for anyone that's interested in learning more about Google Analytics, we've actually put together a free guide which goes through all the different columns you'll see on the left-hand screen of Google Analytics, and provides a bit more context as to what it means and what you can expect to find there. So for anyone that's interested in basically learning a bit more about Google Analytics, please contact us at info@generateuk.co.uk, and we'll be happy to assist you. And if you want to follow that up with a consultation about how to make the most of your analytics, we'd be happy to help. So has anyone got any questions? So we have one here, which is, can spam be registered on traffic channels? And if so, how to avoid this? So yes, you can get spam coming through, especially through direct methods. So one of the ways that you can be hit by this is via bots that are basically just sending traffic for the sake of it to your website. And this can really dampen your behavior reports, because it can make it look like people are less engaged than they actually are. And on the flip side, it looks like you're getting more traffic to your site than you actually are. So one of the ways to avoid this is simply by ticking a box in Google Analytics or any of your analytics suites that looks to block bad bots. Another way to do this is to set up some quite effective firewalls within your web security to monitor bot behavior and to try and limit the amount that can get through into your website in the first place. It's not that difficult to set up, and a good website hosting company will help you do that. But if you aren't doing that currently, I'd take a look and try and see for yourself if this is occurring for your business, and if so, you should be trying to stop it. A second question here is, can Google Analytics tell you what company or person is visiting your website? And quite an easy one, the answer to that is no. So Google has to be GDPR compliant, all businesses do, and if they were giving away information such as names or IP addresses or any identifiable information about a user, they would be in serious breach. It cannot tell you that information. Some other tools can, however, it's a bit murky, that sort of water. So try and be careful with the information you are gaining about other users. So another question here is, when looking at performance data, is it best to compare week on week? Personally, I prefer looking at year on year, because I think it gives a much better understanding of not only a 12-month period, so where were we then, where were we now, but it also will help to explain some seasonal differences. For example, like I mentioned before, the shift from November to December usually sees a big drop, followed by a massive increase in traffic in January. And that's all fine. It's good to have reporting a lot of green, but it doesn't really give any benefit to the customer or to yourself. What's more effective is to see if you've improved compared to that seasonal effect last year. So have traffic in December in 2020 increase compared to 2019, because that will give you a much better indication of your overall marketing success and effectiveness. We also recommend looking at month on month, just so you're but not to the same extent year on year, because you do have to see how your marketing is comparing within a 12-month cycle, but try and be more long-term with your thinking with this. Okay, so thank you for attending today. It's been really fun to talk to you about analytics and how you can improve it through your marketing. Again, before we go, we just want to say if you want to use or learn more about Google Analytics, we'd be really glad to send you our free guide. There's no catch. We just want to help you all get the most from analytics programs. So if anyone's interested, please do contact us at info@generateuk.co.uk to receive your free copy. So I will say thank you and have a good day.